Hello, my name is Prime, and welcome back to Prime News. And today, SES Software released another blog post on the Coaches DLC for ETS2, this time talking about the bus stations and other passenger terminals that are being reworked, and in many cases added to ETS2 as part of the overall Coaches DLC. As per usual, I will have the link for the blog post down in the description below. That is where you can find the 10 brand new screenshots and the information I'll be summarizing. Another day, another blog post, and some wonderful information on the Coaches DLC for ETS2. And besides the coaches or buses themselves, the bus stations and passenger terminals are arguably the most important part, and this blog post in particular talks about the extensive work the SES Software map team and asset design team have done in relation to the Coaches DLC to ensure that existing passenger terminals and bus stations already in ETS2 are being reworked, while building brand new ones and adding bus stops to popular locations, or just simply to areas of the ETS2 map that may not happen to have many passenger terminals as we speak. So more specifically, as of today in ETS2, there are 7 prefab bus station models that have been used across various DLCs in over 100 locations across the ETS2 map, and that is specific information from the blog post once again. And SES Software goes on to mention that 6 of those prefab stations are being completely rebuilt, with many of them being nearly 10 years old, while the extra newer prefab, which was actually part of the Road to the Black Sea DLC, will get a smaller refresh to then realign with the other completely reworked prefabs. Given the age of many of these prefabs and the areas of the map that they reside in, they were built at a time where each individual depot, shall we say, or station itself had a fence around it, with the environment very segmented and very little natural blend. This is arguably the biggest point of the reworking of the prefab bus stations, where many of the fences, unless if it's realistic for the fence to be there, have been removed and the surrounding area will begin to blend in. So moving from some of the prefabs, there will be plenty of unique or custom bus stations and terminals across the ETS2 map, both base game and DLCs. In some of the more recent reworks or map DLCs, the map designers have already done some work in some of these bus stations and terminals, while in others, the Project Coaches team is having to be creative and add in some new stops to fill in the gaps around the ETS2 map. As you can tell by the screenshots, these bus stations and terminals will range in design, layout, and scale, with some of these stations being more difficult to maneuver, while some are large and expansive, where maneuvering a coach bus could be straightforward. So I'm very excited to try some of these out and inevitably get my coach bus stuck in some location because, well, I'm Prime Simulation. And last but certainly not least, the blog post concludes by talking about how these stations will be viewed in ETS2. I am happy to confirm that any change to the map itself, whether that is a reworked bus station, a brand new one, or any other detail related to the Coaches DLC, will be included in base game ETS2 and, once again, the respective map DLCs that the stations may be located in, regardless of whether you own the Coaches DLC itself. We may be able to visit some of these bus stations and terminals in a transport truck and drive around the lot without needing to own coaches, but of course if you pick up the Coaches DLC, you will then have the actual feature of hauling passengers around and the buses themselves. At least that's what it seems to be. Once again, very exciting, and I really appreciate SES Software for taking this approach. So overall, it is fantastic to have another blog post on the Coaches DLC for ETS2, and comment down below what you think about this blog post in particular, speaking about the bus stations, and how excited are you to be able to finally drive coach buses in Euro Truck Simulator 2, a long-awaited feature that, albeit is still down the road, is now firmly in sight. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.